Ah, there's the tiger. Oh my god! I go with single strafe a tiger. That wasn't even. That was before the bombs hit him. I dropped the bombs, but he was dead. Damn, son. Oh, we hit him with the cannon. Oh, he bailed. What a bitch. He bailed. At least I got the vehicle destroy points there. Oh, baby. The double cannon hit on the Stuka. He's like, what just happened to me? He doesn't know. He has no idea. He just was there 1 second and then not the next. Hey guys, Level Cap here, and this plane is the new Mosquito FB Mk VI. People have been saying it's a bit overpowered, and to an extent I am inclined to agree. You haven't even seen the most powerful weapon of this yet. I rank up the Mosquito FB in this game to rank 4, which allows me to unlock the 4,000-pound bomb, the biggest bomb in the game, carried by this fighter bomber plane. This thing can take out other small aircraft. It can take out heavily armored ground targets. There really isn't anything this plane can't do aside from, well, dogfight a fighter. If you have a good fighter pilot up on the enemy team and they know how to approach you, there's not a whole lot you can do. You basically have to get lucky, get on their tail and disable them before they can swoop around and shoot you down. Or hopefully you have some good anti-air guys on your team who are dedicated that you can run back to if you ever get into a sticky situation. Also, the German fighter bomber, the Stuka, is a pretty good matchup for the Mosquito, and that fight often comes down to whoever gets on the other player's tail first, as you can single strafe your opponent pretty effectively. Now, the level 4 4,000-pound bomb upgrade is incredible. It's kind of like having a mini V1 at your disposal. Very powerful. I was getting killed by a Mosquito bomber while I was playing infantry on Fiel, and he was getting like 5-6 guys in a pass just with a single bomb. It was brutal. If you don't have people putting down the mosquitoes, they are going to absolutely clean up your team. The primary cannon on this thing can single strafe a Tiger tank or any other tank. It's not that you're going to do it every time, but if you get a good lineup and a good attack run, you can absolutely do it. And the bomb is great for taking out armor and infantry alike. This is the ultimate ground pounding airplane, and if you get in a good situation, you can certainly take out other aircraft as well. As you upgrade the right side progression tree for the Mosquito, you get faster rate of fire on your primary cannons, which actually do decent damage to other aircraft. So you've got a lot of weapons at your disposal. And in many ways, it seems like this plane was added to the game to try and balance out the Stuka B2 with its new incredibly powerful level 4 cannons that can single strafe heavy armor on the ground and absolutely obliterate aircraft. This is meant to combat the Stuka B2. And it's an interesting trade-off because the Stuka B2 actually has a pretty good tail gun that can help protect it from mediocre fighter pilots. It won't stop incredible fighter pilots. But the trade-off you make for this tail gunner is that you don't get to bring bombs into the mix as well as your main primary cannon. So it does feel like the Mosquito actually has quite a bit more versatility. It's got an incredible cannon on it that can single strafe a Tiger tank and a 4,000-pound bomb. It's like, what more do you need? Well, it doesn't have the tail gunner, so as I mentioned before, if you get a good fighter on your tail, it's over. And I was actually just flying around in a 109 taking out Mosquito after Mosquito after Mosquito. It was very easy to do, and so many people want to fly the Mosquito now that there's often not Spitfires up to try and protect them, and they usually don't have good anti-air coverage on the ground. So it can be a really unfun time flying the Mosquito if there's a good German fighter pilot up in the air and they just want to make your life a living hell. They absolutely will, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. So, like many things in Battlefield, if the circumstances are in your favor, you can have an absolute blast with these upgraded fighter bomber aircraft. But if they're not in your favor, then you're just going to have a miserable time. Which, again, just goes hand in hand with so many other experiences in the Battlefield franchise. It's kind of unpredictable. But I'm enjoying the fighter bombers a lot, and now that I have them fully upgraded, they're quite good. The really crappy part about these planes and most of the aircraft in Battlefield 5 is that they suck until you get them upgraded. Like, you know, the Ju-88 that we all hate, it's not very good until you get it fully upgraded. Many of the other aircraft are like this, and it just means that your progression tree or your progression path with these aircraft is just a grind fest. You're just playing with these very underpowered aircraft, grinding through the ranks until you get to rank 4, unlocking them, and then finally they're effective. But you have to put in all this work before they actually become fun, really, to play with. Is it too late for DICE to change the system and make it more enjoyable for the progression and for new pilots? Probably. So it means that if you really want to get the most effect out of these aircraft, you're going to have to put in a lot of unfun time. The fighters are more fun when you first start off with them, and you can usually take out most aircraft in the sky, but with the fighter bombers and the normal bombers, they don't really become good until they hit rank 3 and rank 4. So yeah, just be prepared for that if you are going down this progression tree. Now, I've enjoyed flying aircraft in every Battlefield title. I would never call myself an ace pilot. There's usually always somebody I could find that would absolutely tear me up in a server, but I was definitely above average when it came to piloting skills, and I enjoyed it, and there was interesting dynamics to flying mechanics and things that I could take advantage of. Even if there was a better pilot in the server, sometimes I'd have good team support, good tools that I could use to retreat or try and get the upper hand at times. But in Battlefield 5, I feel like the flying mechanics are still in their sort of infancy. Like, I know DICE worked really hard on just getting airplanes functional for launch, and I don't think they've had a lot of time to really refine aerial combat and aerial combat balance. One of the biggest issues from beta was just the ability to spot ground targets, and that has still not really come very far. DICE has still got this idea that infantry are going to use all their gadgets and all these tools to spot ground targets for airplanes, and they're going to mark things, and it's going to be awesome, and assaults are going to switch their roles so that when they damage tanks, they'll become spotted for aircraft. It's not happening, DICE. Like, the spotting concept that they had in their minds that was entirely based on teamwork and ground targets, doing the spotting goals for aircraft, it's just not really working. Rarely do I see flare spots on the ground, and often when I do see them, it's at the worst time, where I'm already on my way out from a bombing run, or I don't have enough time to adjust to hit the new spots. So the flares rarely actually work properly for aircraft. And so for the most part, spotting is just non-existent for pilots, and you just have to, like, get as much distance as possible, zoom in with your optics, and see if you can see something on the ground. Follow tracer rounds in, and then line up. Often it's not good on bigger open maps like this, and if you're playing on a map like Fiel, then you're just carpet bombing dense areas, which in itself isn't really a good game mechanic anyway. There's also many other nuanced issues, like no spawn protection. If you spawn into an airplane, pilots can already be on your tail. I've been damaged before I've even had visibility of my own aircraft. Like, the aircraft spawned into the game world, and then my camera came in and turned on, and I was flying, and I was already damaged from somebody shooting me out of the sky, another pilot. So pilots can absolutely spawn camp you. An automated AA system would certainly help with that, having a good spawn protection or a retreat system. Gunners usually really suck. The gunner view range and machine gun angles are really bad, and they make teamwork in aircraft very difficult, and I usually resent it when somebody's in my tail gun seat, because I almost always assume that they're not going to be a very good gunner. And plus, you get this big advantage from switching a pilot to gunner seat and not having anybody flying, as your plane like hits the brakes, and it forces somebody to overshoot you. And then when it comes to turn speed and turn rates, there doesn't really seem to be like the nuanced, like, perfect speed to hit to try and get the optimal turn rate, and having that element be a part of a really top tier pilot being able to hit their maximum turn rate and get on other people's tails. That doesn't really seem to be as big of an element anymore, and most dogfighting just comes down to, like, trying to hit the brakes and have somebody overshoot you, and then it ends up just being two really good pilots hitting the brakes and flying really slow through the air and looking like idiots, which I don't think is what DICE wanted from their dogfighting meta in Battlefield 5. So it's kind of a joke in terms of where it is compared to previous Battlefield games. It's functional. It looks cool cinematically. You can watch bombers do all these cool strafing runs, and from the ground you're like, oh man, aircraft are awesome. I just shot the wing off of that thing and it went careening out of control and exploded over there. It looks cool. It almost looks realistic at times, but from a piloting perspective and from an actual dogfighting meta and aircraft meta, it's very, very bad compared to previous Battlefield games. And I don't know if DICE has got plans to spend a lot of time refining aerial combat. In my opinion, they need to completely upend a bunch of the systems in the game right now, change a lot of the spotting dynamics, and probably change some of the amount of damage aircraft can do to ground once spotting gets better. So there'd have to be a kind of a major overhaul in the way that almost everything functions. I don't know if DICE is planning on doing that, if they're up for doing that, or if they're just going to focus mostly on generating and creating new content for the game. We'll have to see. The fighter bombers can be very powerful in the perfect situations. If you like flying, then the Mosquito and its 4,000-pound bomb and its cannon are incredible and a lot of fun to play with, again, in the perfect situation. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing out. I want the kill. All right. I'm not disabled yet. So, holy God, let's hit the brakes. And then the gas. Did he crash? I think he crashed. Oh my God, yes. That's him. Oh yes, please. Oh, I can barely control this damn thing. Oh, best way ever to win a dogfight. Oh, I'd be mad if I was him, man.